Good morning to all. I am Mrs. P.KAVITHA, Assistant Professor of Economics, A.D.M. College for Women, Autonomous, Nagapattinam. My topic, Labor Economics. Concepts of labor economics. Contents, meaning of labor, definition of labor, types of labor, characteristics of labor, labor problems, characteristics of Indian labor, what is migration, define migration and impact of migration. Now, meaning of labor. Labor is the act of mental and physical activity on some work for some monetary benefits. Any work or services rendered by the professional such as doctors, engineers, teachers, etc. are all included in the labor. It means all human exertion that is put into the production of goods and services. Alternatively, any activity done with the intention of happiness or pleasure or doing any art work for hobby will not count in labor. Otherwise, if the art work is sold out for some consideration, then the same will be called as labor. Now, define labor. Marshall definition. Definition of labor: any exertion of mind or body undergone partly or wholly with a view of directly from the work is called labor. Now, Thomas defined as labor connotes all human efforts of body or mind which are undertaken in the expectations of reward. Now, types of labor. There are three types of labor. First one, skilled labor. Second one is semi-skilled labor. And third one is unskilled labor. Now, skilled labor. Skilled labor means to job which required specialized training and skills. People who performed skilled labor usually have at least a bachelor degree. Skilled laborers receive the highest salary in the organization. Lawyers, accountants and medical doctors are just as a few examples. Next, unskilled labor. Unskilled labor means to work that does not require any special skills. All that is required and unskilled labor is the willingness to work with hands. Most unskilled labor requires no or little formal education. Unskilled laborer usually receive the lowest wages in the organization. For example, unskilled labor are gardeners, cleaners and messengers. Now, third types of labor, semi-skilled labor. While not as skilled as skilled labor, skilled labor requires more skills than unskilled labor. Semi-skilled labor requires only rudimentary knowledge about the particular field. For example, skilled labor or nurse, assistant and flight attendants. And now, characteristics of labor. Labor has some characteristics. They are first one, labor is perishable. Labor is highly perishable than the other factors of production. They can be warehoused and they cannot be postponed or accumulated for the next day. Once the time is lost, the lost is lost forever. That is labor perishable. Second characteristics of a labor. Labor cannot be isolated from the laborer. Any other factors of production can be separated but not labor from laborers. Labor and laborers are indispensable for each other. For instance, it is not possible to bring the ability of a teacher to teach in school, leaving the teacher at home. Third characteristics, less mobility of labor. When compared to capital and other goods, labor is less mobile. Capital can be mobilized from one place to another and labor cannot be transferred from one place to another easily. A laborer may not be ready to go off places, leaving his native place. Fourth characteristics, work bargaining power of labor. It means the ability of a buyer to purchase articles at least price and that of a seller to a higher price is called working bargaining power of labor. A laborer sells his labor for wage and the employer buys by compensating money. Mostly laborers have poor bargaining power since they are weak and poor, whereas employers are comparatively and having higher bargaining power of higher laborers. Inelastic supply of labor. It means the particular period of time, the elasticity of supply is inelastic in any nation. It means their supply can be neither be raised nor subsidies. That can be made to order like other goods. And sixth characteristics, labor is a human and not a machine. Each, every and laborer has his own likes and dislikes. They should not be hurt for they have feelings. Also, they cannot work 24 hours a day and 365 days a year. We cannot become owner of for a laborer is the actual sense. Now, increase in wages may reduce the supply of labor. That is seventh characteristics of labor. It means the wages are high, the whole family members are to work for their living. On the other hand, if the wages are high, then only one family member may work and hence the supply reduces. Now, difficult to find out the cost of production labor. It is difficult to ascertain in the cost of labor done by laborers since it is based on his efficiency, experience and human moral. Also, if the labor is a professional, it is not easy to ascertain his cost of production such as clothing, education, food, etc. And ninth characteristics of labor, labor creates capital. Capital, which is considered as a separate factors of production, is in reality is the result of reward for labor. He earns property out of production. Capital is formulated and accumulated by labor. It is evident that labor is more important in the process of production than the capital, since capital is the outcome of the laborer's labor. Now, labor problems. The labor problem means it's widely used toward the turn of the 20th century with various applications. It has been defined in many ways, such as the problem of improving conditions of employment of the wage earning classes. The labor problem encompasses the difficulties faced by wage earners and employees who begin cut wages for various reasons, including increased technology, desire for lower cost, or to stay in the business. The wage earning classes responded with a strike by unionizing and by committee act of outright violence. It was a nationwide problem that spanned nearly all industries and helped contribute to modern business conditions still seen today. Possible causes include the failure to account for the negative externality of reproduction in the face of finite natural resources, which result in oversupply of labor and falling living standards for wage laborers, personalizations by machines and poor working conditions. The labor is original and indispensable factors of productions. The Indian labor characteristics is original and indispensable for factors of production. Without in the work production is not possible. Labor is very important means in comparison to other means of productions. It is because of labor the use of land and other natural resources, natural means is possible. In productions, work labor plays an active role. And second one is labor is an active factors of production. Land and capital are considered as the positive factors of production because they alone cannot start the production process. Production from land and capital starts only when a man makes effort. Production begins with active participations of man. Therefore, labor is an active factors of production. Third one is labor is perishable than any other commodity. Labor is more perishable than other factors of production. It means labor cannot be stored. The labor of an unemployed worker is lost forever that day when he does not work. Labor can neither be postponed nor accumulated for the next day. It will perish once time is lost. It is lost forever. And fourth one, labor cannot be separated from the laborer. Land and capital can be separated from the owner, but labor cannot be separated from the laborer. Labor and laborer are indispensable for each other. For example, it is not possible to bring the ability of the teacher to teach in school, leaving the teacher at home. The labor of a teacher can work only if himself the present in the class. Therefore, labor and laborer cannot be separated from each other. Labor is less mobile. As compared to capital and other goods, labor is less mobile. Capital can be easily transferred from one place to other, but labor cannot be transferred easily from its present place to other place. A laborer is not ready to go far of places, leaving his native place and his kith and kin. Therefore, labor has less mobility. And laborers supply is inelastic. The supply of labor is often found inelastic in a country at a particular time. It means that their supply can neither be increased nor decreased if the needed demands. For example, if a country has a scarcity of a particular type of workers, their supply cannot be increased within the day, month or year. Laborers cannot be made to order like other goods. The supply of labor can be increased to a limited extent by importing labor from other countries in the short period. The supply of laborers very much depend upon the size of production. Population cannot be increased or decreased quickly. Therefore, the supply of labor has been considered as inelastic to a great extent. It cannot be increased or decreased immediately. Seventh one, a laborer sells his labor and not himself. A laborer sells his labor for wage and not himself. The worker sells work, but he himself remains his own property. For example, when we purchase an animal, we become owner of the services as well as the body of that animal, but we cannot become the owner of a laborer in the sense. So next, labor has weak bargaining power. Labor have a very weak bargaining power because their labor cannot be stored and they are poor, ignorant and less organized. Moreover, labor as a class does not have reserve to fall back upon when either there is no work or the wage rate is so low that it is not worth working. Therefore, the laborers have a weak bargaining power as compared to the employers. Ninth one, labor is both the bargaining and the end of the production. The presence of land and capital alone cannot make production. Production cannot be started only with the help of labor. It means labor is the beginning of a production. Goods are produced to satisfy human wants. When we consume them, production comes to the end. Therefore, labor is both the beginning and the end of the production. 10th one, efficiency of labor differs. Labor differ as inefficiency. Some laborers are more efficient due to their ability, training and skill, whereas others are less efficient on account of their illiteracy and ignorance, etc. 11th characteristics, labor cannot be engaged continuously in production like machine. Every labor has his ability and the efficiency to work, has his own taste, habits and feelings. Therefore, labor cannot be made to work like machine. Laborers cannot work round the clock like machines. After continuous work for a few hours, leisure is essential for them. Now, labor creates capital. Capital is formulated and accumulated by labor. It is evident of labor is more important in the process of production than capital, because capital is the result of the working of labor. 13th one, it is difficult to calculate the cost of production of labor. We can calculate the cost of production of a machine, but it is not easy to calculate the cost of production of a laborer. It is very difficult to calculate the cost of bringing up the children as to how much is the total cost on his education, food, cloth, etc. Labor has no tangible form. Labor has no tangible form, just like labor has no reserve price. Laborer can be seen, can be touched, but labor cannot be seen. Next, migration. What is migration? The people movement of a person or people from one country to locality, place of residence, etc. To settle in another. An instant of this migration is the first and foremost a normal human activity. Human beings have always moved from one country, locality, place of residence to settle in another. Now, define migration. Labor migrants are defined as those who move for the purpose of employment. Economic migrations from potentially broader group that includes people entering as a state of from economic activities such as investors or business travelers, but cannot be understood also in a narrower sense, similar in the category of labor migrants. Now, impact of migration. Migration is becoming a very important subject for the life of cities. Many opportunities and attraction of big cities pull large number of people to big cities. Migration can have positive as well as a negative effect of the life of migration. Now, positive impact. Unemployment is the reduced and people get better job opportunities. Migration helps in improving the quality of life of people and help to improve social life of people as they learn about new culture, customs and languages, which helps to improve brotherhood among the people. Migration is skilled workers leads to a greater economic growth of the region. Children get better opportunities for their higher educations. The population density is reduced and the birth rate is decreases. Then negative effect. The loss of a person from rural areas impact on the level of output and development of rural areas. The influx of workers in urban areas increases competition for the job, houses, school facilities, etc. Having large population puts too much pressures on natural resources, amenities and services. It is difficult for a villager to survive in urban areas because in urban areas there is no natural environmental and the pure air. They have to pay the each and everything. Migration changes the population of a place, therefore the distribution of the population uneven in India. Many migrants are completely illiterate and uneducated, therefore they are not only unfit for most job but also lack basic knowledge and life skills. Poverty makes them unable to live a normal and healthy life. Children growing up in a poverty have no access to proper nutrition, education, or health. Migration increased the slum areas in cities, which increased many problems such as unhygienic conditions, crime, pollutions, etc. Sometimes migrants are exploited. Migration is one of the main causes of increasing nuclear family, where children grow up without wider family circle. Thank you.